Hey, somebody's got to buy the candy canes. You did? Excellent. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. You are listening to the Professional Noticer.
All aboard!
Here, you and I will use common sense and all the wisdom we can muster to move beyond what is true and go all the way to the truth, creating measurable results for people like you and families like yours. No longer a member of the amateur ranks, I am the Professional Noticer.
Merry Christmas, movie house! Merry Christmas, Emporium!
Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Andrews. Hey, thanks for making me part of your week. And while our topics might seem to vary wildly at times, it's because the things you care about most are often greatly affected by the things you care about least. Therefore, we will field questions about business, spiritual issues, popular culture, and odd topics like, if nothing sticks to Teflon, how does Teflon stick to the pan? My purpose here today and with every show we do is to play the part of a best friend or coach. I want to help you live the life you would live if all your toughest questions were answered. The Professional Noticer is sponsored this week by AustinLegacyKnives.com. Hey, this is the greatest answer to your problem you got right now. And what problem, you ask? Hey, look at the calendar. Look at the calendar. And you still are having a hard time finding that perfect Christmas gift for your friends or your family member, for that critical corporate client. Okay, Austin Legacy Knives. Sure, you can go online. You can look down on the website. You can see the knives that they have available. They're all one of a kind. They're available right now. Already been chosen, made out. They're marked on the blade, one of one. You can give that. But if you look under shopping, you'll see that there are gift certificates. Grab a gift certificate or 3 or 4 and give them to those corporate clients that mean the most, that person that means the most, and let them go on Austin Legacy Knives and build their own knife. Let them choose how to create a heritage blade from a chunk of the wood from granddaddy's old broken baseball bat or grandmama's rolling pin. I saw a knife that Austin made, 2 knives actually, out of an old hammer that somebody had from their father. Just unbelievable stuff. And these can be available very quickly, very easily for you. All you would have to do is get the gift certificate, wrap it in a box, give it to them, but to your friend, they're the ones that will take the gift certificate and make the choices on the site when they have time after Christmas, anytime during the year. This knife is a usable work of art, and the person you honor with this gift will think of you every time they see it. AustinLegacyKnives.com. Grab a gift certificate right now. You still got plenty of time. Well, how's Christmas season going for you? I know you're scrambling around for presents and the food, the menu, everything that you got to get done before the big night, the big day, and the big day before the night before. The 23rd for our family is also very special. When our son Adam was, he's like 5 years old, he said, "Dad, if the day before Christmas is Christmas Eve, is the day before Christmas Eve Christmas, Adam?" We kind of looked at each other and went, "Yes, it is. Absolutely it is." And from that day on, we have also celebrated Christmas Adam, then Christmas Eve, then Christmas Day. Hey, we have a question from Alan. Questions and answers, observations. That's what we do here. I deliver the observations and take a stab at the answers, but you provide the questions. And these are critical components of the person you and I aspire to become. Questions. No one should be embarrassed to ask a question. The person who never asks a question, they either know everything or they don't know anything. So questions are a great thing to get out there, and we'll take a stab. We'll think through them together. So we have a question from Alan. He's from Atlanta. Let's listen.
Hey, Andy. This is Alan from Atlanta. So I have a printing business I've been working on for a few years. I finally booked an appointment with this head honcho of a company that would really take our selling to a whole new level. What is your advice on the mindset I should go in with? Like, what things should I discuss during the meeting? Really, any topics, language, or even body language you would suggest I avoid? Your help would be greatly appreciated. Thanks.
Alan, I think you're smart to ask these questions before this happens. Not necessarily of me, but I'm honored to be the one answering this specific question. But I think a lot of people would not seek wisdom. They would not check anything than they think. And of course, that's a great way to stay where you are. But you are wanting to move into a different level with your business, right? Because this and this account, making this account work would do that. You'd go to a whole new level. So I think you already know the mindset that you should go in with. I think you already got that. I would be very, very surprised if you didn't already have that and understand that you go in with that happy spirit and a smile while you talk. But when you get to what things I should discuss during this meeting, I think that is a question that is missed most of the time. It's a swing and a miss for most people. You ask any topics or language or body language you suggest I avoid, I think you probably know the answer to that too. Okay, don't talk about sex, don't cuss, probably don't talk about politics unless it's in a very even-handed manner that you don't give away your hand. And the body language, I mean, you know how you would want somebody to sit and how they would be dressed when they came in. And so I suspect you already know this. What I want to concentrate here on a second is what should I discuss during this meeting? Okay. Most people would go into this meeting discussing their printing capabilities. They would be discussing the history of their company. They would be discussing what they can do or what they can provide. But I want you to know something that most people never consider. Alan, he already knows what you can do. He already knows what you can provide and how much. In a general way, he might need some specifics, but he already knows that you can do what he needs done. He already knows that you have the capability, that you have the machinery, he already knows this. Because I'm going to tell you something, buddy, if he didn't know it, you wouldn't have the meeting. He would not just be spending the time. I mean, he would have had somebody else, hey, find out, can they do 10,000 pages a week? Can they even have the capability? And so, he found out that all the marks came back positive on you. And so still, he wants to meet. Okay, let me tell you exactly what you should do. Exactly what you should do is you should go, you find out who you're meeting with, and you should go on Facebook. And you need to run it back 3 years. I mean, go backward on his Facebook account for 3 years. If you can find his spouse, look at her Facebook account because that may give you more information than you get from his. And I would go on all the other things that you can see. Go on, look at his Instagram account, look at the LinkedIn stuff. And so here's what you're looking for. You're looking for personal things. You're looking for personal connections. I was telling a CEO this one time because I'd asked him, he was headed to a meeting and he called me and said, I finally got this meeting. I'm headed to this meeting and I finally got it after years. Now we'll get to, and I said, okay, so who is this guy? And he told me his name and told me how long he'd been at the company. I said, okay, so what else do you know about him? He said, well, nothing really. And, I said, so what? Tell me what you're going to talk to him about when you get there. He said, well, I'm talking to him about our product and da-da-da-da. I said, dude, it's taken you years to get this meeting. I promise you, he already knows about your product. He knows. He already knows. You wouldn't have the meeting if he didn't know. And give me 30 minutes. So I got off the phone. 30 minutes later, I called him back. I said, okay, this guy has been married 14 years. He and his wife just moved into a new house. They've had a problem with the swimming pool leaking on the new house. The house, beautiful, brick, 3-story house. The husband and the wife both went to college in the same state. Told him what the state was, and I said they're Christians. They their favorite place in the world to go is the Caribbean, and their anniversary date is such and such and such. And on the last anniversary, they went to Aruba. The anniversary before that, they went to St. Bart's. The anniversary before that, they went to St. John's. I mean, I just did this, and he was kind of blown away. He said, how do you know all that stuff? I said, buddy, it's on their Facebook account. I just backed up Facebook real quickly for several years, and there they are. I mean, there's their date. They didn't announce the date or anything, but if you read comments on it, you see there. This is us in Aruba. Boy, we ate here last night, and then somebody in the comments said happy anniversary. And you look at that date, and then you go back to that date a year before and find out, wow, they were at another place in the Caribbean, and you start to see all these things. And I said, now you and your wife went to college in the same state this guy and his wife went to. I said, you're Christians, they're Christians. He said, how do you know they're Christians? And I said, buddy, when their cover page, when their main photo on their page is a Bible verse, that's a clue. Okay? They're Christians. And so if they're putting a Bible verse as their main page, then they probably don't mind talking about it either. And so I'm just saying, when you go in, and this is what I told him, and this is what I want to tell you, Alan. Okay, this is the bottom line, and then we'll be through. Alan, when you go in and meet this person is going to go home that night, and he's going to walk in the door, and he's going to say hi to his wife and kids, and then at some point, his wife's probably going to say, how was your day? And he's going to say one of two things. He's going to say, well, great, just kind of a lot of the same stuff, did some interviews, did some research into new products, had a meeting with the leadership team, and all right, so, he had some interviews, all right. Or when she says, how was your day today? He is going to say, this is very odd, but I think today I met my new best friend. See, here's the thing, Alan. He already knows that you're competent in your business and that your business is well equipped. And if you go in there and you're okay, you shake hands and you talk about your business and what you can do, your business is this and that, that's fine, because that's what everybody else does. But you're going to leave him with the opportunity to compare the competency of your business to the competency of the other businesses that he interviewed for this. Okay, on the other hand, if you guys have a personal connection in there, and he comes out of there just thinking, man, you are this Allen guy, this is just the greatest guy in the world. If he comes out of there thinking that, you got the deal. You got the deal. He would have to figure out a reason why your company couldn't do it, because who doesn't want to work with people that they just kind of are huge fans of? Who don't want to work with them? So I'm just saying, when you go in, you say, well, I got to say, before we ever start, I mean, and you can do it if the guy went to Alabama and I'm an Alabama fan, okay, well, there's one connection. If the guy is an Auburn fan and I'm an Alabama fan, well, yeah, I'm going to just tell you, before I ever go in here, I'm not sure we can really work together because I've seen your orange and blue. And just do it with a real big smile on your face and, and see what he says. I'm just kidding, of course. But isn't it amazing living in a state where we don't have any professional teams and people are Alabama, Auburn 365 days a year. And man, some of these people are, I mean, we have fun with it, but some of these people are serious. and hey, I heard that, somewhere in the conversation, and you got to start that conversation. Don't let him start it. After you kind of funny a minute, talk to him a minute, say, hey, look, I'm excited to be talking with you. And the main question I want to know that I want to leave here knowing is, how can I help you? What can I help you do better? What can I help you calm down in your life? How can I help you? And then sometime during the thing, bring up something about his kids, the pictures you see on the table and your kids, and talk about, you'll find out things by going, and you'll figure out how to wrap them into your conversation. And so do it, man. Be his buddy quickly. Okay. All right. You're going to make that happen. Congratulations. I'm Andy Andrews, the professional noticer, harnessing common sense and wisdom to plow through challenges all the way to an answer for you. Hey, Merry Christmas. This is a good time to be buying books for Christmas for people. And we decided last week that we were going to start doing a book of the week. We're not going to talk about it in a long time. Just people are always asking what I recommend, what have I read, what am I reading now. And the book this week is Sandi Patty, The Voice. Now, this is a brand new book, and it's an awesome book. If you're familiar with Sandi Patty, she's like one of the most awarded singers in music history. And I actually was on tour with Sandi. She and I together for about 3 years. Got to know her so well. I really, really like Sandi, her whole family. But I got to tell you, I never heard this story. And so this book, I think, is an important book. I think this is something that you read. It's an adult subject, and I think it's something that's going to heal a lot of hearts. So it's called Sandi Patty, The Voice, and we'll put a link in our show notes. Okay, our next question is from Sarah. She's from Minnesota. Let's listen.
Hi, Andy. My name is Sarah, and I live in Rochester, Minnesota, and I am in need of wise counsel. My parents were divorced when I was in middle school. The last time that I have physically seen my dad was 30 years ago. He chose to live his life without any contact with my sister and I. He also refused to pay child support, and I was the only kid in my graduating class to have a deadbeat dad and everything that kind of went with that. My mom is a wonderful woman and worked very, very hard to keep life normal for Katie and I. We both graduated from college, have good jobs, are married to wonderful men, and have 5 boys between us. About a year and a half ago, I got a call from my dad that was transferred to me through my work phone to my cell phone. He was calling because he was in town and wanted to see me. Since that first call, he has called almost monthly to my work phone. He talks about regret, and he wishes he had never left. I've talked to both my sister and my mom about this. Neither wishes to speak to him. He called this past Monday to wish me a happy birthday and said he was planning on being in Minnesota in 3 weeks, or for 3 weeks at Christmas. He wants to meet my husband. He wants to meet my boys, but I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I'm fearful that by saying yes, that I am disrespecting my mom. I'm scared to bring it up to her because the last time I shared that he was expressing remorse towards his actions, she got very upset. What do you think? Do I open that box that I have closed so many years ago? Do I bring the kids and my husband into the mix? I appreciate your wisdom. Thanks.
Sarah. Wow. Okay, so your parents divorced when you were in middle school, and you have not seen your dad. You haven't seen this guy in 30 years. He chose to live his life without any contact. You hadn't heard from him. You hadn't talked to him. And yet your mom hung in there with the family, hung up, obviously, with you and your sister. Now you and your sister have wonderful families, and your mom is part of it. Then your dad calls out of the blue. This is obviously odd. And now he's calling monthly to your work number. He talks about regret. Okay, so neither your mom, I'm just getting this straight, neither your mom or your sister wants to speak to him. And now he wants to he's going to be in town for 3 weeks, evidently, and he wants to meet with your husband and your boys. I'm fearful that by saying yes, my mom would be mad or feel disrespected. I understand that. I understand that you would be worried about that. The last time you talked to her and said that he expressed remorse, it upset her. Okay, so your basic question is, do I open up a box I closed years ago? Here's the answer to that. And, I hate to say this, but maybe you do. Okay, I want you to think about this very carefully before you do. Because you closed the box years ago for a very real reason. I mean, you had to close that box to kind of live through your teenage years, to live through your young adulthood. You had to close that box so you didn't think about him all the time because he had disappeared, basically. So now he's back. He's back. Now, there's a couple of things I want you to know. Number one thing that you got to consider is if there is anybody that you haven't seen in 30 years, and you hadn't talked to him on the phone, hadn't got a letter from him, 30 years, and then all of a sudden they pop up and there they are, and now they're like wanting to go out to dinner. Okay, let me tell you something about that person. They have changed. Okay, this should be obvious, but you need to really consider this. This man who is biologically your dad, since you saw him, he has changed. Now, that may be a good thing. It may be a bad thing. But it is a certain thing that he has changed. The second thing you want to consider here is, why now? Why, after 30 years, why is he showing up now? Now, he may have had you may have already asked that, and he may have already given you an answer. But I want you to think very carefully about what he has said. I think you mentioned that your dad's coming in and is going to be staying for 3 weeks. Okay, where's he staying? Is he staying in a hotel? Is he staying with somebody else, a friend that he has? I'm just saying, does he have a lot of money? Does he have no money? Yeah, money's a great charge unit for people. And so I want you to think through this. Now, here is something that I'm very certain about, okay? And that is, if you do decide to see him, your husband would be the only exception. And basically saying you need to exclude your children at first. If you do decide to see him, you need to see him alone or with your husband. And when I say you see him alone, I don't mean in a hotel room somewhere. You don't know this guy. All right. So you need to see him. If you see him alone, it needs to be alone in a public place. Okay. And so, if I were choosing for you, I would say see him with your husband. Have your husband there. All right. Because your husband can, break in to a conversation if it's going in the wrong direction, or he can provide a life preserver for you if you feel like your thoughts start going in the wrong direction. And you and your husband can have a conversation before this meeting. Okay, this is where we are willing to go. This is where we are not willing to go. This is what we are not willing to talk about. This is what we will talk about. We will not make any decisions today. You need to decide. You will not be pressured by this. So the first, maybe the second, maybe the third. If it goes this far, I would be very, very careful before you bring your kids into the mix. You don't want them to have a situation with the guy they're going to start calling granddaddy now if he's around all the time. You don't want to have a situation with granddaddy like you had with daddy. So be careful with that. And I really believe that there's a reason for the timing, and I really believe he has changed. Both of those things perpetuate reasons. And when I say he has changed, I'm not necessarily saying that he has turned into a great guy. He's turned his life around and now he wants to share and become I don't know. It could be that, or it could be, he's changed. He's madder than he ever was, and he's hiding it, and there's something else coming, another shoe to drop. One last thing, I would definitely make sure this is on your terms. You say that he's called almost monthly to your work number, but you didn't say if you're talking to him. You didn't say he's called almost monthly to my work number and we talk each time for about 15 or 20 minutes. You also didn't say he calls almost monthly to my work number, but I never take that call. I have not spoken to him. So depending on which way you have already gone is going to help you lean in a direction here, but you have got to be in control of how this goes. And, we've talked many times about forgiveness. And, I suspect if you've successfully lived for 30 years without this guy, that you've already forgiven him and gotten away. But there's a big difference in forgiveness and trust. Okay? Do you forgive somebody who steals from you? Sure. Do you continue to employ them? No, probably not. Do you believe somebody who lies to you? Or do you forgive somebody who lies to you? Yes, you do. Do you continue to believe everything they say? No, you don't. And so even though you have, you might have forgiven your dad, there is a very important part in here about the trust that he broke years and years ago. And trust is like respect. It's not permanent, and it has to be earned. And so he has a lot of earning to do in the trust department if you decide you want to open the box. Because I've got to say, I can totally understand saying, I think you should say it to him, but I can totally understand saying, hey, I appreciate that things have changed for you, and I appreciate that you want to get back together and that you want to meet my children and that you want to meet my husband. But you have to understand that to my family, the family that I have now, you are not even a living person. You do not exist to them. It took me a decade or two just to get over you leaving and not thinking about it every day and how desperate a situation you put our mother in. And so when I was married and when we had children, I didn't bring you into that relationship. I didn't even, you were not a good thing to talk about. You were not a pleasant memory for me. And you certainly weren't for my sister, and you certainly weren't for her mother. So I just wanted you to know that I've decided that I'm not going here. Nothing against you. I have forgiven you. And for the most part, I'm doing well without those memories that I do have and without the memories that I know I could have had but don't. For the most part, I'm doing well, and I have the opportunity to meet 40 or 50 new people every day of my life, and I have to choose. Am I going to take the time to meet this person? Am I going to take the time to build a relationship with this person? And I got to tell you, with all the choices that I have and the time that I have to be with those people, you're just not on the list. So I think you can, I think we are commanded to forgive, but we are not commanded to forget. We're commanded to forgive, but we're not commanded to trust. And I know you're probably like me. And if I, am suspicious of a person, their motives, certainly if they've done something to me in the past, I'm not going to take the time to take Austin and Adam and impose that person on them in my house. And I'm just not going to do it. Our life's too busy as it is. And I'm certainly not going to add somebody I don't even really like and that I haven't thought about in a decade or so. So you have those choices there, but I just want you to be careful. Okay, Sarah? Be thinking about you on this. This is a tough one, but you can navigate this. You and your husband can definitely navigate this and make this turn out however you want to. Okay? Thanks so much. Gosh, that's it. I think that'll do it for this week. Get us out of here, Matthew. So, ladies and gentlemen, and to the boys and girls who aspire to become ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of another episode of The Professional Noticer. In a world where common sense has become a superpower, I am harnessing the tiny bit of mental energy I have for you, seeking wisdom, making observations, and endeavoring to answer tough questions in a way that will empower your family and your business. I'm Andy Andrews. Until next week, smile while you talk, shake hands with the kids you meet, and make sure you have an answer to the question, if nothing is impossible, is it actually possible for something to be impossible? And so, until next week, goodbye. This episode of The Professional Noticer was produced by Matt Limbert. The Noticer theme, written and performed by Sugarcane Jane. Turnip greens provided for cast and crew by Twinkle and Smoke of Beverly Hills. Additional financial consideration provided by PickledPepperPickers.com. PickledPepperPickers.com, formerly Pickled Pepper Pickers Produce, was previously possessed by the Piper Partnership for a protracted period. Powerfully promoted by the Papa, Peter Piper, the partnership has now been procured by the prolific Piper progeny, Percy, Penny, Preston, Peggy, and Pete Jr. Today, partially because of the persuasive personality and preference of the Piper pioneer, Papa Peter, the prevailing position of the present presidents is that each of them participate in the personal presentation of paychecks, parting with a percentage of profits to more than 5,000 Piper personnel. And so, PickledPepperPickers.com presses on, persisting in their efforts to preserve and promote previous procedures. Periodically, Papa Peter will position himself as part of the production, pickling peppers the old way and packing them in pecks. Yes, Peter Piper really did pick a peck of pickled peppers, and they are still being picked and packed by peck for you. Available online, that's PickledPepperPickers.com.